systems are offline.
eRadio Live, powered by TCS Wi-Fi.
Time once again for Tech Thursday, and he was so popular last week we brought him back. Kaine, how's it going?
Hi, Eon. Great to be back. Thanks for having me again. I'm so glad I got to come back.
Yes, thank you so much for your time once again. It's nice to have you back on Tech Thursday. And today we're actually doing a follow-up on last week's edition where we talk about WhatsApp. And last week we were talking about the privacy policy changes and kind of scary stuff, how they're spying on us. I don't know, nothing strange has happened to me. Maybe to you, Kaine?
No, nothing yet, Dave. We're holding holding my phone really close to my ear, though, trying to figure out what's going on.
But yes, so obviously WhatsApp sort of said, okay, no, we're backtracking on our decision to force you to accept the updated terms of service, because what they said was that after I think it was the 8th of February, if you haven't accepted it, then obviously they'll suspend your account. But they backtrack now because everybody was moving away from it, as we mentioned last week, and those privacy policy changes led to competitors such as Telegram and Signal that we spoke about seeing a growth spurt as consumers searched for alternatives. I haven't noticed it with my personal contacts. Have you noticed people disappearing off WhatsApp?
No, and I suspect WhatsApp, that's the last thing WhatsApp would want to be able to be visible to their user base. But what I have noticed is on Signal and Telegram, you get notification every single time someone joins that has you in their contacts. And those have been firing off, I'll tell you, at an unprecedented rate.
Sure, okay, so you definitely have a lot of contacts joining Signal, but they still have WhatsApp.
They still have WhatsApp and Telegram and Signal. I think everyone just doesn't know which one is better at this point. But there will be a clear winner, and it's the company that does the most for what the users want. And that's where we're going to see it move over the next few months, I think.
Who are you rooting for personally?
Personally, I would give the title to anyone that puts my privacy above everything else, whether it's advertisers or whatever, as long as their policies are stringent and I can rest assured in the privacy of my data. And it goes further than just a conversation. You know, we share private details such as passwords and account details over WhatsApp, and you would want that to be as secure as possible. And there has been cases where certain group chats even can be indexed by Google. So it's a WhatsApp inability to keep their data as private as possible, and it happens all the time. But those are the kind of things I'm going to look out for the person that's going to be my number one go-to, I think.
Kaine, I see that a lot of tech experts are calling this whole WhatsApp thing the biggest digital migration in history. Do you think that could be correct, or is that also a bit of an exaggeration?
No, I think that's absolutely correct. I don't think many platforms, other than the occasional financial platform, that see such a quick exit of users from their platform. And it really shines here in this case.
My gosh. Because Telegram's Pavel Durov claimed the app surge in users had accelerated even further following it passing 500 million users. That was in the first week of January 2021. And with that milestone, Telegram reached a quarter of the number of users that WhatsApp had in 2020 when it stood at 2 billion. So they're also saying that, around 1.5 million new daily signups on Telegram. Now I wonder what Signal's looking like. They didn't mention anything here about Signal, but I'm pretty sure it's similar, if not more.
Absolutely. I mean, there's also bad information out there about Telegram. So, I mean, the person who's advertently looking up is going to kind of end up around Signal. Personally, I really enjoy Telegram. As an alternative even to WhatsApp, I prefer Telegram just for some of the features that they have. And I've grown to become quite annoyed when someone calls me on WhatsApp and they have bad signal. Like, I wish they would just call me on the normal phone, because sometimes it can be a serious delay and it's impossible to communicate.
It is one of my pet peeves, I must tell you. Talking to somebody on WhatsApp call, and you would think with our advanced internet technology and fiber rollouts everywhere nowadays that people would have, at least crystal clear WhatsApp phone call quality, but they don't, and they break up, and then you talk over them, and it just results in this terrible mess, and then you're just like, oh gosh, no. Cheers.
Telegram actually has a very interesting way of dealing with that, and they changed. Comes down to the type of connection that is established between two people, regardless of whether it's secure or not. And the way that Telegram connects, when you're using WhatsApp, what you would recognize is when someone's cutting out, you miss portions of the speech, and you kind of got to connect the dots yourself. Whereas Telegram, when there's an unstable connection, it'll kind of take a second to compile the information that it's lost, and it'll deliver to you at a little bit of a faster rate. So if I'm talking to you and I cut out and I come back 3 seconds later, it'll come back kind of all at once, but you'll just be able to actually audibly make it out. So in that way, it kind of deals a little bit differently, bad connection. But ultimately, the best connection when it comes to calls is still, in my opinion, hands down, unless your internet connection is good, it's mobile calling. Just the standard traditional call.
Yes. Normal calling, yeah. Because we get so used to WhatsApp calling. I'm so used to it now that when I do a normal call, I'm like, damn, this is good. Because no delay or anything. It's just really good. So I actually prefer that. Obviously, that costs you money to do, instead of WhatsApp call being free.
Yeah, you got to use it for the right people,
Yeah, business, man, business. Okay, well, that's it for the WhatsApp segment today. We'll see what happens next week. They're probably up to some mischief as we speak. But the next thing, and I know this is like really something that you like to talk about, Kaine, because as we see on YouTube, for example, you have a lot of videos about cryptocurrencies. Now, I see South Africa is preparing to regulate cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin, as the number of people investing in crypto assets are rapidly increasing. How do you feel about that?
Interestingly enough, regulation has always been something that's on the horizon for cryptocurrency and Bitcoin. And I remember when I was just starting out in cryptocurrency and kind of learning my way around, I had a very interesting conversation with someone who was already in cryptocurrency. And he said to me, at the moment, because it was about 2015, 2016, he says, at the moment, there is a lack of regulation around cryptocurrencies such as Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies. And it's up to people to regulate themselves and to declare for themselves to the government and pay tax and do whatever they can do, because if they don't, there's going to be forced regulation, and regulation will happen no matter what. And in a way, I've learned that regulation is almost unavoidable, in the sense that there's always going to be someone who's trying to take advantage of the lack of regulation, whether it's money laundering or any kind of illegal activity. That's where they strive to be. So it is a very complex thing to try prepare for. But I suspect regulation should be there to help people who are utilizing the technology for the right reasons, and to hinder people that are using it for the wrong reasons. So there is hope for regulation. However severe it is still yet to be determined.
Good answer, Kaine. Now, 1 Bitcoin, as we speak, equals in the region of 516,000 South African Rand, or almost 517,000 South African Rand. That's a lot for 1 Bitcoin. I never realized that a Bitcoin is worth that much.
Yeah, it's really mooned. We call it mooning. It's really gone up a lot, especially over the course of the last month or two. And I actually have some stats here for us. So over the last year, from 2020 January all the way to 2020 start of December, Bitcoin's price rose about 24%. And then from the beginning of December till now, the price has risen over 90%. So you can see that a large volume of this increase is happening almost like over the last 2 months. And Bitcoin does go on these bull runs. But interestingly enough, there is a few factors that are playing a role, which is causing Bitcoin's price to skyrocket so significantly. And if you go around looking for someone to give you the answer as to, how high will it go? When will it go down? Right now, this is new uncharted territory for Bitcoin. We haven't seen it here. We've seen it at $100 or 1,000 Rand, and now we're seeing it at 500,000 Rand. And we've seen it at other highs, but this is the highest high that we've ever seen it. And it's definitely got some attention.
That's for sure. Well, I'm seeing here that the price of Bitcoin, obviously, as you mentioned, has skyrocketed over the last year, increasing from 105,000 Rand, 105,000 South African Rand in January last year to over 600,000 Rand earlier this year. That's a massive, massive jump. Now, this has attracted renewed interest in Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies, with more investors exploring it as a potential asset class. Many Bitcoin bulls, now I don't know what they mean by Bitcoin bulls. Can you just tell me, what do they mean by Bitcoin bulls? Is that like some kind of slang or...
Really, it is quite a terminology minefield when you first come into cryptocurrency. Yep. So one term that you'll hear a lot is bulls, and you'll also hear bears, and it has to do with which direction the market is moving. So when we see the market moving up or in an upward trend, we say it's a bull market, and when the market is moving down or in a downward trend, we call it a bear market.
Ah, you see. Thank you. So many Bitcoin bulls like Fundstrat managing partner Tom Lee and Cameron Tyler Winklevoss expect the cryptocurrency's strong run to continue this year as it starts to disrupt gold as a value store. But then, just to conclude this article, with thanks to my broadband, a big concern to South African authorities is that the success of Bitcoin has attracted many scammers, as it is an unregulated field. Can you tell us a bit more about the scamming going on?
Yeah, absolutely. Scams have been around in Bitcoin and cryptocurrency for a really long time, but obviously they've also been around in traditional, money as well. And scams come more from when people have a difficulty figuring out the right information. So when things like Bitcoin's price start going crazy, people develop a fear of missing out, and that fear of missing out drives them to make poor decisions that they wouldn't make if it was a different scenario, if they had the ability to become fully up to speed or figure out something at an earlier stage. And that FOMO, that fear of missing out, as we call it, often leads to big mistakes, and people are there to try and trick you and scam you when we see these massive bull markets. And one was Mirror Trading International, or MTI. They were a really big scam that came out that was just claiming daily profits trading Bitcoin, and Bitcoin being the term that is just on fire at the moment. Everybody wanted to jump in, and they picked up like 200,000 investors, and then they got raided. And as soon as they got raided, there were a lot of bad news and publicity came out, and everyone wanted to withdraw their funds. And all of a sudden, no one's funds could be withdrawn, and they kind of disappeared. And now there's an ongoing legal case against MTI, and it's found that it's disappeared to somewhere in Brazil. And these scams are definitely apparent, and they pry on people who don't have the right information or lack the ability to learn fast enough and still, do what they want to do, which is come into the market and earn some money.
Kane, is there anything else you want to add with regards to Bitcoin and cryptocurrency?
Yeah, absolutely. Now, one of the things that is very interesting is there's been a lot of funds that have lost in crypto, because when you start exploring cryptocurrency, the first thing that you'll realize is this is very different from your traditional banking infrastructure that you would usually see. We're used to having account numbers and branch codes and SWIFT numbers and all that sort of stuff. And here in crypto, we only have wallet addresses, and certain wallet addresses and certain wallets only work for certain cryptocurrencies. So it can be very confusing for beginners to kind of get their head around, how the wallets work, how everything works, and how to keep everything completely safe. So of the current 18.5 million Bitcoin that are in circulation, around 20%, worth 140 billion, may or may not be lost or stranded in wallets across the internet. So that's just money that's just dormant. It'll probably be dormant forever.
Sure.
The people that created those wallets lost access, and those funds have since disappeared. It's a very real thing. And when you create a Bitcoin wallet, especially in the early days, you were given something called a private key, and it really was private, and you keep it private. And when you go online, you literally just use that private key to access your wallet. So if ever you lost that private key, the wallet exists, but you have no way to authorize your ownership of that wallet, and it's gone. Its access will never be found. So what's really important here that I wanted to add is a few ways that you can keep your crypto safe. That you can avoid that happening. Because all that happens is to the people that lose their private keys or don't take the right precautions, it just comes from lack of prior knowledge.
Yeah.
Back in 2017, I went and stayed in an Airbnb, and unfortunately that Airbnb got loot sacked, and I lost a bunch of my wallets. And the funny thing was when it got robbed, I had my private key stored in some notebooks, and I never thought I'd be away from my notebooks. No one would steal my notebook. It just so happened that notebook was in a bag when it got taken, and that will never be found. The people that took it will not know what it is. They will disregard it. So that money is gone forever, and it disappeared because I didn't take the right precautions, or I didn't foresee what might happen later on. So you always got to take precautions. So the first thing is obviously do your homework, especially when it comes to scammers and things like that. A lot of the time they're just taking advantage of you not knowing the full story. So going out and getting the full scope before you go and you do something is going to be to your best interest. The second thing is store your coins in something called a cold wallet or a hardware wallet. And when you go and you buy cryptocurrency first time, we see a lot of it happening digitally on software, on your phone, on your computer, on your browser. And digital information is secure until it's not, or it's safe until the computer crashes. So we like to go and get ourselves something called a hardware wallet or cold wallet. And you can buy it. There's Trezor, there's Ledger, there's a few different companies that you can go buy directly from their website. It'll get couriered to you. Everything's safe, and you have a hardware wallet that you can store your funds onto, and that's going to avoid you losing software. That's going to avoid you losing your phone and losing the wallet that's associated to your phone, and a whole list of issues. So if you're serious about it, it costs about $100 to $200 or 1,000 to 3,000 rand, depending on the hardware wallet that you get, and you can store hundreds of thousands, if not millions or billions of rands worth of money on it. So it really is useful to invest in one of those. The next thing, don't keep all your cryptocurrency in the same place, right? It kind of goes without saying, but it does happen. If you go and you put all your money onto your hardware wallet and you lose your hardware wallet, it's going to be a really hard time, trying to track down access to that if you didn't prepare. There is ways to access your wallet if you lose your hardware wallet, but if you don't know about that, or you don't look at it, or you don't read the manual fully right in the beginning, and you don't prepare for that kind of online access, online access, remote access, you're going to be in trouble, So don't keep all your crypto in one place. Have it, if you can afford it, buy a few hardware wallets. Keep a portion of your funds in more secure wallets like Luno's exchange. Luno doesn't rely on you knowing your own private key. They rely on you being you when you access your account. So they have a lot of security there to make sure that you are who you say you are when you're trying to move your funds, and there's precautions that you can put in place. So look out for exchanges like that, and don't keep all your money in them. Just keep a portion of it. Be safe. When I lost a bunch of my wallets, it was my Luna wallet that saved me because I could access it in a different fashion. So back up your cryptocurrency private keys. So that's multiple letters and numbers. your wallet, your private key is basically a bunch of letters and numbers, about 14 to 18 of them. I don't remember right now. But those letters and numbers, it's very important that you don't save them on your computer or on a Word document or a Google Excel sheet or anything. Keep that information written on a piece of paper. Take that piece of paper and put it somewhere where you can always come back to finding it if you're going to go the software route. Use strong passwords. So on some wallets, you'll see with your hardware wallet and some software wallets, you're actually able to put a pin on top of that. If money is trying to be moved out of that wallet, they will have to enter in a pin before that money is authorized to move. So you can set up that pin, and obviously don't lose that pin. And use trusted wallets, read about your wallets, go in detail, look for people talking about the wallet that you're looking into and being scammed by that wallet or losing access to that wallet, or horror stories. Look for the horror stories because they're going to prepare you. And finally, probably the most known thing, but it's done often, is don't talk about your investments, right? Bitcoin is a known term, and if you're out at dinner somewhere and you're talking about how much Bitcoin you have on your hardware wallet and you're waving it around, and you've got your phone, you're waving it around, it just takes one person to catch on to what you're saying to figure it out. And it might not sound crazy, but if you might be sitting in a coffee shop or something and someone across the tables from you is talking about 100 or 1,000 Bitcoins that he owns, you're talking about multi-billion rand. It's upwards of billions, and you're just waving that information around. It's crazy, but it happens. It's easy to run into that type of money, especially because no one really knows this, and some people that do. But back in 2010, 2011, they were giving away Bitcoins. You could go to a website, and just for being on the website, they would pay you in Bitcoins because it was so valueless at the time. They were giving 10s and 50s of Bitcoin.
Damn. I missed it.
Minutes. You missed it, yeah. But people do find themselves in a lot of money in crypto sometimes, and just the golden rule: don't talk about it. Don't go bragging about it. Just keep your investments to yourself and report it accordingly with SARS and things like that. But you don't need to go tell your whole club about how much Bitcoins you have.
That totally makes sense, Kaine. I mean, that's such a valuable thing. So just be careful, eh? You just never know. But I just want to jump back to, in closing, just want to jump back to social media and South African social media law specialist and founder of the digital law company. We spoke about her as well last week. Emma Sadler, has issued a warning regarding Telegram's Groups Nearby feature. And what she's saying is, urgent, if your child has downloaded Telegram, please, urgently, make sure the location is turned off and that they cannot turn it back on. Because there's a people nearby feature which allows you to see nearby groups without joining. And these groups have the most horrific pornography, etc. So, switch it off. Switch off your location. Are you aware of this, Kaine?
Of the explore nearby groups, and there is ways to spoof your location to Telegram. So if you're actively doing what a child would do on a phone, which is explore, they're going to come across that feature. They're going to find some groups, and those groups might be good, they might be bad. You just never know. They're completely uncensored groups. In essence they're private. So there is ways to turn those settings off within the Telegram app. It doesn't necessarily have to be off on the phone, although it's weird to walk around with your location on your phone at all times.
It is.
But there is definitely a way to just turn off location access for Telegram in the settings, whether it's Android or iOS.
Yeah, and also, is it not true that if you walk around with your location on all the time, it takes more battery?
Oh, definitely. You're in, your phone's becoming a Garmin for the day.
Yeah, a Garmin. I like it. That's a good one. Emma actually spoke to 702 and Cape Talk, and in the interview she said that it's an example She pointed out one of the groups that she picked up in her area, which contained very disturbing pornography or pornographic images. She picked up a group called Sluts of Randburg. Jeez.
Oh, wow. Oh, wow.
And she said that she saw some horrific things. She could see it even without joining the group. So can you imagine if a poor kid comes across Sluts of Randburg? So no, please switch it off.
Yeah, don't use that feature if you're not. I don't even know really what the point of that feature is. You know, like what is even the point of if you're at something like a conference and different at the conference have groups, that feature becomes versatile. It's usable. It makes sense. You know. But in what other environment does that functionality even make sense?
Yeah, I wonder. Apparently, they're not going to fix it. They're not seeing it as a vulnerability. He noted somebody at Telegram in this interview said that fixing the vulnerability is technically easy. However, Telegram has told the media that it won't be fixing the issue, and it's not covered by its bug bounty program. Interesting.
Sure. Wow, taking a stern foothold there. You know what we've seen now from WhatsApp is the consumer is really in control, and if you're unhappy about certain features or certain loopholes that companies have put in place, or maybe to ascertain GPS data or whatever their priority is in maintaining that stance, your best bet is just move to the next one, because there is always going to be a demand for a solution, and your solution is out there. Signal is definitely a doable alternative, albeit new and at times a little bit clunky because it's new. Signal's a great alternative, and you can use Signal, or you could use Telegram, or you could use WhatsApp. If you can use one, you can use them all. They're all very similar. But just go with the one that makes you feel the most comfortable, because inevitably the power is in the consumer's hand. We can choose what we use.
Choose what we use. We can choose what we eat. We can choose where we go and all that kind of stuff. What we watch, what we listen to. So choose what you use when it comes to social media as well. Kaine, I want to ask you a dumb question. Is BBM still in existence?
What a good question that is.
Is it a good question?
Network. Yeah, I'm about to find out. I mean, I haven't even asked myself about that. I think they shut down BBM at some time. Let's BBM lesson around.
We can literally hear him typing. Yeah.
As of 31 May 2019, BBM ceased to exist.
Oh, okay.
How interesting.
Shame, man. R.I.P. BBM.
They ran out of juice. BBM is still, BlackBerry actually, I think they went into security security equipment, especially for military and things like that. I think that's where their main income is derived from now. I think they've moved away from the phones and things like that. They were the first phone company with satellite internet. I think that's what they uncapped. Remember back when you had in the BBM, you had uncapped data. Yeah. And you had to have some setting turned on. They had their own satellite network. So BBM actually, better suited for private enterprise. Maybe I personally loved their phones in the beginning, but I would never go back to it in a single heartbeat.
I've still got a BBM, a white one, and it still works, but it you can just see it doesn't want to live anymore. It just keeps switching off eventually. It's just you can see that it knows it shouldn't be in 2020 or 2021. Shame, man.
If it could, it would turn itself off.
But they kind of tried to make BBM or Blackberries. They tried to give it a comeback. I know that MTN also at one stage, it wasn't last year, maybe the year before, maybe even the year before that, they still had the BBMs, Blackberries in their actual catalogs. where you can page through all the phones when you're upgrading. But they were nice. They were bigger, almost like Samsung, but not quite. There was still that BBM BlackBerry vibe to it, and people just weren't biting. They thought, hey, let's make a comeback. But it just sadly didn't work for them because obviously, hello, Samsung and Apple, what can you do?
I fully agree. When Huawei
came along, and it took me 2 years to say the name.
When they came along, they made money and they got market share because they had such a good cheap alternative and performed like a machine. And the reality, I think, of the smartphone industry is if you're not coming to market with something new or innovative or solves a real life problem that is not solved already by basic phones, you can't break the market because it's saturated by Apple and Samsung and Huawei now. So it's very difficult to break that market. Even Motorola. I think Motorola made the first smartphone, and they're just nowhere.
Yeah, I had a Motorola. It was a flip phone.
Yeah, those were the bomb back in the day. You weren't proper until you had one of those.
Dude, my Motorola had a mirror on it.
At least they try to be innovative.
Jeez, man. I'm telling you, those were the good days. But yeah, I wouldn't want one of those phones anymore.
I think Motorola developed the first smartphone, the first flip phone, and the first phone that could flip that was a screen.
Oh, wow.
The whole thing is a screen. And now that's also quite a popular phone. I think some of Samsung's models actually are flip. They flip, but they're fully, there's a screen on the front and the back, I think. It's quite interesting.
Do you still remember the Motorola ads on TV?
No, barely, hey?
Let me refresh your memory. Hello, Moto.
Oh my word!
Does it ring a bell?
I remember that. Oh, no, that was funny. I remember that, but they also stepped out of the market for a bit now. Now it's just majority the three kingdoms.
Yeah, but I must say we all underestimated Huawei. We didn't think they would have such a big impact, especially in South Africa. But what really screwed them over was that whole thing they had with Google.
Oh yeah. But that's classic, big corp manipulation to keep the little guy out of bounds,
That's it.
And for Huawei, they were well prepared. Well, at least they made it sound like they were well prepared because they claimed that they had their own operating system already in development, which would be similar to Android and iOS. And you would say, oh no, that's fantastic. But the reality of the situation is Apple isn't necessarily all of the apps that are on Apple, and Android isn't necessarily all of the apps that are on Android. There's groups of developers and developer teams and companies that are building the apps that make Google what it is and make Android what it is, and make iOS what it is. And without those people, it's not the same. So if you have a new operating system, but you have no developers to on your operating system, you don't necessarily have an operating system because it's non-modular.
That's it.
So there's definitely a definite difficulty with that. But I think even Huawei, I read somewhere that they're actually creating quite significant incentives to try and attract developers to work on their operating system. And for a young and coming developer, like if you're someone in the audience and you're an up and coming developer, that's where you want to be developing, because that's going to give you a nice industry or area to really grow in that's not heavily competed in. It could really be a good place to start. Also, you're developing an expertise in a field that might grow exponentially. If Huawei does what it did to the mobile phone to its operating system, it could be your IoT moment. So, definitely an opportunity for developers and something to be wary about for someone who's buying a Huawei phone powered by a Huawei operating system. You've got to say, how much software is currently there.
Sure, that's brilliant. Really, really good wisdom that you're sharing there with us. And it was, as always, an absolute pleasure having you on eRadio with your fountain of knowledge. But just before you go, Kaine, Tell us about your return to YouTube.
Right. So yeah, I've had I created a YouTube persona back in the day. It was called Kaine.
Yeah.
And I created a lot of videos there, and that's what initially got me, getting into videography and design and all the stuff that kind of drives my day today. But yeah, we decided that we're going to be booting it back up, and we're going to be, going back live with Kaine, and it could be a lot of fun. And I think people will really enjoy it, and it's just a place to come learn some info about crypto or have some fun doing one of our fun videos, where we go and do something exciting or try something new. I think it's a good place just for some info and some humor, for sure.
I'm looking forward to it. Will it still be under the name Kaine on YouTube?
Yeah, we can't do away with that. That's a little gem. I think we're keeping that one.
Good. I was going to say now.
If you go to YouTube, Kaine, you'll find me.
Kaine. That's Brokaine. One word.
One word.
One word, boy. One word. Kaine, thank you so much once again. It was nice having you on the show, and as I said, sharing your knowledge and your wisdom with us here, your fountain of technological wisdom. You know what I'm saying?
No, I get it, and thanks so much for having me. It was a lot of fun last week, and this week again even better. I think I'm really looking forward to next week.
I'm also looking forward to it, and now I don't know if you'll remind me, because nowadays my brain is like a tornado with all the stuff that's going on in there and all the information and stuff I have to remember. But I want you to remind me before we chat again next time. That we must talk about spam callers for some reason, because I don't know what's happening, or if somebody sold my cell phone number to all these bots and people. But spam calling has been, and I actually saw an article saying it's been increasing. That was last year, but something's happening now. I don't know about you, but I have to frequently block numbers, and then when I block these spam calling numbers, obviously identified by a true caller, they just keep calling back with a new number.
They are pesky in that way. And it will be very interesting to talk about next week for sure. I mean, one word of advice is these companies, if they do have a list, they write down whether you answer or what you say when you answer. So if you have a spam caller and you feel like it's a spam caller, just answer and just stay very quiet.
Maybe next week. Because
they'll write it down that it's a dead line, and you might get out of the spam calling loop.
Okay. Next week you can give us some tips on what to do. We can look at some funny tips as well on stuff you can do. Maybe pretending you're deaf or whatever. But I think that could actually be quite a lot of fun. I should have fun. Instead of ignoring the calls, I should answer them, man. Yeah, I'm gonna do that. Yeah, and then I'll give you feedback. Make a game. Yeah. It's hot when you're busy though. But we can try.
You know what I would do if a spam caller calls you, answer it like you called them. Just see what happens.
Yes. It's almost like a prank call, but you're not paying for it. I can do with that. That sounds good. I like that. But we'll talk about Truecaller and all that jazz next week, and also where are they getting our numbers? We must find out and see, how that works and what is the actual plan behind it. Anyway, Kaine, so that's it. Looking forward to next week.
Yes, indeed. See you then, Eon.
Get the eRadio SA app right now for free on the Google Play Store. Entertainment radio on the go.